What is going on, everybody? Chris Albert here from the Warrior Soul Podcast, and today I'm going to go back into my roots, talking about fitness and nutrition. And even deeper into my roots, I'm going to be talking about intermittent fasting and whether or not you should be doing it. So, this is a little bit of a departure from my current programming, right? Normally, if you've been watching me of late, I've been talking about life, right? How you're going to spend your time on this globe that's spinning through space. And for those of you who are flat earthers, leave me alone. It's a freaking globe, right? But here's the thing, and I want to tell you guys this. I was an early adopter of intermittent fasting. For those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know that, even about 7 years ago, before it became really popular, I was doing intermittent fasting and I was doing the ketogenic diet. And back then, people would look at me like I had 3 heads because I was a bodybuilder and I was building muscle, I had a lot of strength, and yet I was only eating 1 to 2 meals a day and I was eating very little carbohydrate. And I credit both the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting with helping me to get in remission with my ulcerative colitis. And every time that I've had a flare up since then, I retreat back to these protocols in order to help me to get out of that flare up. But, it's easy to fall in love with something that's helped you so much. And in the past, I think, one self-criticism that I have is that I might have even been too overzealous in talking about both of these protocols. I might have touted them a little bit too much. And what I want to tell you in today's video is that neither of them is for everyone. And what I want to get into is who should try these and who shouldn't try these, especially who shouldn't, because I'm seeing a lot of people who are taking them up with the desire to obviously gain the benefits of losing weight, having better mental focus, having better mental clarity. But I'm also seeing a lot of people who are, I guess you could say, driving with e-brake on, right? They're trying to keep grinding away at it, even though there might be some signs in their body that they shouldn't keep doing this. And above all, I believe that fitness isn't just about looking good, and it's not just about I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I had to answer the door, and that's why I got cut off. But back to the subject at hand. All right, so like I was saying, fitness should support you in everything that you do in life, right? It should support your job. It should make you better at it, right? It should make you better able to handle those stresses that are coming your way. It should make you a better partner, a better human being, better at being a husband, being a wife, being a boyfriend, being a girlfriend, being a mother, a father, everything, right? It should make you better in general. It shouldn't make you feel like crap, right? You should feel better from doing it, right? And if you feel like it's grinding down on you, and if you feel like it's taking away from any of those other things, well, then guess what? You're probably not doing something that's very good for you, right? And I want you to understand this, and that's not to say that you can't work hard. It's not to say that you shouldn't train. It's not to say that you shouldn't eat right. It's to say that there's far too many of us who are just jumping into things because some guy on the internet says, hey, you got to grind away, or hey, you got to do this, or hey, you got to do that. And this is especially true with intermittent fasting and ketosis, right? Like I said, I've gotten a lot of benefit from both of them. I love both protocols for me, but we have to look at each individual's life and see what they're actually dealing with in their lives before we can say that that's right for them. So the first group of people I want to talk about here are women. And when it comes to issues with hormones, issues with hormonal cascades, women need to be very wary of this. And that's because women are prone to hypothyroidism. Now, this is going to sound completely sexist, but if you're a woman of childbearing age, your body is meant to do 2 things. Number 1, it's meant to keep you alive, right? It's working to keep you alive every second of the day. Number 2, it's working to make sure that you are going to be able to bear a child, whether you want to or not, right? And that's the thing you have to understand. Your body what your body wants and what you want, they're often two very different things. And these are things that we deal with all the time. In when I've worked with bodybuilders, when I've worked with powerlifters, when I've worked with athletes, a lot of times their body doesn't want to cooperate with what they're doing. And the same is true for you as a woman who is trying to optimize themselves. So do you fight with your body? Do you wrestle with your body? Do you inject drugs into it in order to get it to cooperate with you? Well, a lot of people do that, but it's not very good for you. And when it comes to intermittent fasting and ketosis, the biggest thing you have to worry about is that hypothyroidism. Now, how does that come about? Well, when women of childbearing age, when they start to lose body fat, or when their body, when they're not feeding their bodies enough calories, or if they're burning too many calories, the body says, whoa, wait a second, we are going to get dangerously low on the body fat percentage scale if we keep doing these things at this rate. And so let's slow down that production of thyroid hormone, right? Slow it down a little bit. And so you can go into hypothyroidism, right? And this is true. I witnessed this a lot with women who are training for marathons. They'd be running like every single day, long distances, but they'd still be putting on weight. And I see it a lot with women who come to me as clients after periods of doing heavy fasting or extreme ketogenic diets. Their bodies, after a certain point, just don't want to lose the weight anymore. So how do you avoid this? Well, number one, you need to make sure you're consuming enough calories. Number two, you need to understand that a fasting protocol might not be right for you. It might be a possibility that you need to eat breakfast, that you might need to eat carbs, proteins, and fats in your breakfast, right? And the key here is understanding that your body needs this, right? Not fighting against it, not trying to bend it to your will, but understanding that and cooperating with it, giving it what it needs, so that it in turn will be comfortable with burning that fat, right? And a lot of people just don't get this, right? They just keep grinding away, right? So if you're a woman who is looking to do intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet, before you do, I highly suggest you get your blood checked. I highly suggest you check your entire hormone profile, and particularly your thyroid hormone. If you decide to go ahead with it anyway, you should probably be supplementing with selenium, right? Selenium is a thyroid protectant. And you can also naturally get it from various foods, including Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are very rich in selenium. Avocados, I think oysters as well. Look for selenium-rich foods, right? If you're going to be doing fasting or an extreme ketogenic diet, all right? Number two, there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of stress, and I'm talking about people with both sexes right now. A lot of stress on their plate, really busy lives, secreting huge amounts of cortisol, right? They might be close to what's called adrenal burnout, right? This is where they are really dealing with problems in what's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or the HPAA axis, right? Or HPA axis, right? And because of this, if they start to put themselves into an extremely low calorie state, it can make that hormonal cascade even more dysfunctional than it is, right? So people who are near adrenal burnout, well, guess what? What they need to do is they need to make sure that they're consuming enough calories, that they're getting enough rest, that they're giving their bodies enough time for recovery. And this tends to happen to a lot of people who are type A personalities, those who want to like dominate everything. Let's go. Let's freaking drop some weight, motherfucker. Right? That's what they're looking for, right? So I see a lot of people who will come to me. They've got, pasts where they were an athlete, maybe they were an operator working in special operations, maybe they're a high level executive who just wants everything to be perfect in their lives. They want to be good at everything. And a lot of people will come to me after they've been long burnt out, right? And it takes a long time to recover them. I'm talking months, right? And it's one of the hardest things I do as a coach, to have to tell somebody, hey, listen, you got to pull things back a little bit. You need to not grind away in the gym every day. You need to not try to diet your eyeballs out, right? And people, again, have a hard time understanding this. But when it comes to like intermittent fasting, and when it comes to the ketogenic diet, a lot of people hear it's huge up in Silicon Valley, right? All the executives are doing it. And so everybody else wants to do it. And that's why they're jumping in. But they're doing it just because, again, somebody like me or some biohacker on the internet or some blogger is telling them it's a good thing to do. And again, you need to be aware of what your body's telling you. If you're burning out from both ends, then it's probably not a good idea. You need enough calories, enough carbs, enough fats, enough proteins to keep your body going, and to use that nutrition that you're putting in your body to support you and everything else you're doing. Finally, athletes. Okay, so when it comes to athletes, everybody's a little bit different. For example, I was extremely strong and explosive when I was a bodybuilder and doing the ketogenic diet. I had a genetic makeup and a physiology that allowed me to thrive in a low carb, low insulin state. Right? I didn't need a lot of glycogen, or I was very good very efficient at conserving glycogen. Right? So I was able to squat a whole lot of weight, deadlift a whole lot of weight, even if I hadn't eaten much during that day. I remember I came back from a music festival in Las Vegas and hadn't eaten much more than a few thousand calories over a course of like 3 days, and I was partying in the desert, and I came back and I was able to front squat I think close to 400 pounds. That was a personal best, and I couldn't believe I was able to do that. That was from a long time of me being fat adapted and me getting my body used to this. If you are an athlete who is in season, who wants to just jump into a ketogenic diet or an intermittent fasting protocol, it might not be the best idea, because it can drastically affect your performance at the beginning. It can slow you down, take away that explosive snap that a lot of, especially fighters, need. It can seriously mess with your mental energy. There's a whole host of things that happen, right? And in order to make these diets work for you, you got to put the work into adaptation. And the truth is, during your season, while you're in the throes of anything stressful, you're probably not going to do well during the adaptation phase at first. Of course, we do have a lot of these exogenous ketone supplements that help you with this now, where you can take ketone salts or ketone esters, and they give you tons of energy. They make you feel awesome, but they're really freaking expensive, right? They're really expensive. And so my recommendation is that if you're an athlete and you want to try these things out, do so well out of your season, well out of well away from a competition. You got to give your body some time to adapt. And adaptation is different for a lot of people. If you've been fat adapted before, it could be a matter of a week. If you haven't been fat adapted before, it could be a few weeks up to several months. And for athletes to meet their previous level of performance, it could be up to 6 to 8 months, right? So it might not be something that you want to mess with during your athletic career, particularly if you've got a lot on the line. So what else should you do? Again, it goes back to understanding that there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. You shouldn't just jump to things or shiny objects just because somebody else is telling you to jump at them, right? Work with whatever professional you're working with, work with whoever it is to make sure that you've got something that's making you feel great, that you're taking care of your digestion, because that's extremely important for supporting everything you do. And, if you want to strategize a way of incorporating these things, make sure you're planning it properly. I think I've over talked during this video. A lot of information here. It's a little bit long, but listen, guys, I want you all to live your best lives, and fitness is a huge part of that. I see far too many people trying to grind things down, trying to do things the fast way, the quick way, because they want results yesterday. And while things look like they might be the holy grail, a lot of times they really aren't. And in fact, that's probably the situation where it's really not the holy grail, right? So I want to thank you guys if you got through this entire video. I want to thank you for watching. And if you want to think about working with me, all right, I'm taking clients currently. When I work with clients, I look at their whole lives, right? So I'm looking at what you do for a living, what your family life is. I'm looking at your health history, and I work to create a program that's going to work for you and support you in everything you do, regardless of what it is. Not just in the gym, not just looking good, but helping you to dominate at everything you do. And so if you're interested in that, you want to talk about it a little bit more, just send me an email at chris@warriorsoulagoge.com. I'll put that in the description box below.